My name is Will McIntosh. I'm Head of Data Platforms and Governance at City of Melbourne. I'm going to take a step back here because we've been talking a lot about these advanced data products and amazing new tools, and that's exactly where we want to be. But what we're going to talk about is how we actually enrich this data and those data products with really strong data governance and how that is actually running through our Databricks model as well. What I'll do, I think I've got about 20 minutes, so I want to cover through how we embedded data governance into our data products at City of Melbourne. Look, the outcome from this is Learning Com's approach to data governance and strategic data platforms management. I really want the outcome to be that you love data governance, but I took it out because I didn't want to be too topical. I'll run through really quickly our approach, and I'll step back and just go through our Databricks instance, how we created value and efficiency, not just risk and compliance, not the boring stuff. It's actually about how you turbocharge those AI rooms and Genie rooms that the team have talked about so far. And I'll share a use case. We're going to share a use case where our data governance actually became a data source into Databricks and then how that feeds into AI as well. Final one, I'm going to be super open and share our lessons learned. So I'm going to have a pretty open talk today. It's not just going to be Databricks, it's going to be a bit about our ecosystem, just so you can see the whole picture of how it works. So let me run through. So look, as a local government, we hold a lot of critical data, property addresses, heritage, planning, customer health data, and that's the importance and the management of that is becoming so critical. And we have valid reasons for holding that. We have a lot of critical services for our community. We require it for robust billing and legislative reporting, but it's also an opportunity to guide that strategic decision making and how we can build in data governance to that. If there's questions down the track, there's a model there that supports that as well. So at City Melbourne, our Databricks instance is known as Com Data Central. It really supercharges our, what we call our data ecosystem. So at the heart of it, we've got Com Data Central. We had a previous separate platform, forgive us, Pam and Danny. It was a Postgres server that sat outside. We're integrating that back to our Com Data Central at the moment. Our traditional SQL server was separate to our enterprise data management, so that's now being brought into Com Data Central. This platform powers our open data platform as well. I would consider our open data platform examples of data products, and I'll share through an example of why that's really important as well. Uh, it's becoming more important. So there was a question in the chat. Executives, they want information now. They want it yesterday. So how we speed that up? That's what we're running through AJ's example of the gold layer. And we've got some really good examples where that's saving us so much time as well. And data ownership. So our data governance team at City of Melbourne is John Wright, doing an amazing amount of work with a new Power App that's become that data source. So Com Data Central effectively becomes the heart of all of our operations at City of Melbourne. But I'm not going to just talk about Databricks. I'm going to talk a little bit about how it supports other products as well. So data without governance isn't an asset. It becomes a liability. There's questions about who manages it, what's the accuracy, can I trust it, and it can erode it against the trust of a whole data program itself. So at City of Melbourne, we've had examples where I was in a live demo showing a 3D map. It's fantastic. I extruded trees by value, which was the height in our asset system. I had the question in the demo, what's that one? What's happening here? Who manages this data? There might be an issue. There was a tree that was 1,000 kilometers tall, so it actually went into space. And you get into a position as a data platform owner. Who do I go back to? Who fixes that? Because we want to come back from that source of truth. But if we're moving into that AI and data product lens, there's always going to be that maturity of how we manage it. And who do I go back to? Who's the data steward? Who's the data owner for that? So I want to talk about City of Melbourne's data governance and how it's enriched by Databricks. It's not totally in Databricks, but it's supercharged by how we use AI and Unity Catalog in Databricks that really helps us speed up things. So we saw data governance not just as risk and compliance, we wanted to lift that maturity of data management across the enterprise. So we focus on building trust for our data, giving transparency of what the data is, who manages it. We reduce risk because we want to understand where it's being stored, how it's protected. And also we want to increase the value of data. So where people can find it, trust it, and use it really helps our entire enterprise. Ours is really simple. It's effectively a document, a framework, which gives us clarity on what is a data role at City of Melbourne. That comes up a lot. What's a data steward? What's a data owner? So we've got a document that explains that, and we're happy to share that across any local government agency as well. We have an operating model that comes from executives down to technical working groups. That means that the standards and the enterprise approach is driven from the top and then embedded with feedback given back up to executives through that operating model. Something I'm going to touch on as well is we have different data domains. So we understand that different data isn't the same, and there might be different standards for customer data than there is asset data. And the people best placed to make those decisions are the experts in those areas. So we've carved that up and taken a bit of an approach. And point four is a really important one. So we needed a source of truth across data ownership across all of City of Melbourne. That's not just the data inside Databricks. That's one part of it, but for every single data set across City of Melbourne, physical data, so printed documents as well as electronic data, we needed to know what that is and how we could protect it. The strategy was simple. So why don't we just build a list of who manages which data set? Why don't we make it really clear? Just a 2-page data governance framework so people could get it and read it through really quickly. And then establish that operating model to empower work areas. So it's not IT being blockers anymore. It's actually work areas have the power and responsibility across the organization that feeds into Databricks as well. And then we can create that loop. We deliver all these steps and then we have insights and AI to help us optimize where are we not having really strong data governance. And that's that flywheel, that's that loop we run across pretty much every week in our teams. I did touch data domains. I'm just going to really quickly show these. So these are the different data domains we have across City of Melbourne, and this really helps to simplify things. So where there's a question on environment data or climate data, finance data, we now have ownership where the data domain owners can actually tell us the standards they want to apply. They can apply data quality SLAs. We want our customer data, for example, to be 99.9%. Well, where are we now? So we can actually have that really robust monitoring and evidence base. Some are easier than others. I'd say employees pretty straightforward, owned by HR director. Others are more complex. Customer, we probably have about 7 different areas that's managed. So having that as a single domain owner that covers the whole organization is really helpful. And that's a bit of a hybrid model that's working really well for us. And they are typically a senior leader. So they're a director at the moment, but we have got strong interest from the executives at the GM level as well. Look, let's be controversial. Data governance shouldn't just be compliance, shouldn't just be ticking boxes. This is really important how it can create efficiencies through new platforms like Databricks. So typically when we're making a decision, these are the steps at a high level we might go through. Where's the data? I need to analyze, I need to clean it, I need to get an insight, I need to create that into information. Hopefully I make a good decision and hopefully there's a good outcome for that council. At analyzing insights, you typically have your data products. I'm thinking public maps. Open data, I mentioned, is a data product as well. And AI, it would be for us a data product too. And where we want to be is those outcomes. We want to have fantastic outcomes for City of Melbourne. But what we find is we ask the question, how long are people, how are people going? We're trying to locate data. So a few years back, we wanted to understand the current state. On average per week, how long were people spending to even look for data, let alone clean it? And we did a massive survey across our organization. I might just ask the chat, chuck in the chat, on average, how long do you think people were searching for data? I'll just give people a second to put it in there. And might be Danny, if you just want to look at it in about 20 seconds and you can tell me what that is. So this is the key for us because me as a platform owner, if I can save enterprise time to help people find data, help people understand the cleanliness of it and the quality, what would be the quantum level of impact? Danny, sing out if there's a figure, if there's some rough figures there. If not, I'll give it away now. I can see chat's got maybe a couple of messages. Danny, anything you want to read out?
Yeah, I think people are quite shy in this call. So I just got one 10 hours. The other is 5 hours per branch per week.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
It's pretty close actually. I'm not sure who that first one was, but what we found, 8 hours per week on average for these data roles across City of Melbourne spent searching for data before we had that centralized ownership model and Databricks platform. That's a massive figure. So that helps to build the business case originally, how we brought in Databricks and streamline some of this. I won't share what it's gone down to just yet. I'll come back to that. So this is where data governance really supercharges our data products because from the locating to data to the outcomes, we now have the ability to scale because we're not bogged down in those initial areas of where is the data, can I trust it? So we can actually scale a lot better. I mentioned open data as a data product. If you put out things like open data without quality data governance ownership, data quality information, this is where you'll get bogged down by questions where's this data come from? When was it refreshed? You're caught up in the low maturity area that I refer to. And then we get thousands of these emails. How often is the data update? And what quality is it? So if we've got no data governance there, it's really hard to scale because each data product you put out with, you'll be being put out spot fires for those ones. You're trapped in that left side. You can't quite get to the outcomes at a enterprise scale. So this is where we created that source of truth for data ownership. One register to rule them all. Don't mean to do buzzword bingo. We created a simple power app. We asked the business to enter their critical information assets into that, and we ingest that into our Databricks platform. So work areas register the information. That can cover paper, can cover electronic records, and it connects the data and the information assets back to the work area that manages it. So this is where, for the first time ever, you've started to got that fact base there of who's managing what and who's the owner of which data set across the organization. So simply put, what's the data, who manages it, and how business critical is it? For those other local governments who have to do an information asset register, this is to our OVIC standards. So OVIC tells us they want us to collect this information. We did not want a spreadsheet for it, so we sent up a quick power app for it. Just really quickly, we built that internally, roughly probably a couple of weeks to start to finish. With our internal team, we asked each branch across the organisation to nominate a data champion. We then ran sessions for those data champions, and from start to finish, around 2 months, we had all of the council's information in there and roughly 40 different data champions across the organization. Now we have the opportunity to refresh that into Databricks. And what that does is it gives a really interesting perspective because we can now start to quantify and see what's happening. So this metadata we collected became a really interesting source of truth. So work areas would get in there, they would search through this data, this Power App, see what data is managed across the organization, and they would start to search. And they would start to go, oh, look, there's a couple of data sets across the organization that we might want to chat. And it reduced the time of asking in the office, who manages that dog leash data? I think Jane manages it. Give her a call, and people you kind of stuck. Oh, and then Jane says, I'll call Graham. This is a source of truth you can go to, but it's also supercharged into Databricks as well. It's linked to Unity Catalog. So it links both ways. It's ingested into that Databricks, but also if you're got the Catalog Explorer open, you can see the system table here, and you can actually link back. So the IR reference there, 2795, if I click that, brings back the ownership information. So now if I'm in Databricks and I've got questions, I can't even see this data and I've got questions about it. You don't have to contact Will anymore. You can contact that work area directly and you can see that information straight away. What we also did was we could then track which areas managing their data really well. So this one matches back for all of the records that have been put in. Are they filling out all the information? Are they filling out the risk information? Are they filling out who manages it? And we gamified it. So each branch could see each other's performance, and we on purpose celebrated the teams that hit 100%, where they actually entered all their data. They did a really good job of it. It's entered within the last 12 months and kept up to date. And we said, "Oh, city strategy, amazing! Legal team, amazing! You're incredible." And then other teams were like, well, "What's ours? Oh, we're 25%. Hey, how do we get up to that level?" So since going live, we've had 11,000 updates to it, and it's just become this fantastic data source for us. So gamifying it really helped. The domain owners also get really detailed reports. So for the first time ever, now having the data into Databricks refreshed into BI, we could see where's all of customer data across City of Melbourne. Where's the risky data sets? Where's critical data sets being stored in spreadsheets? We might want to consider bringing that back into a corporate system. So these are insights that really help to inform our teams. What happened since then as well is the cyber team and business continuity teams picked it up and said, we could do some advanced reporting for this. Where is really PII data being stored? How do we understand where that is so they can talk to those work areas and actually proactively address risks before they come up as well. So this is where connecting data ownership back to data operations was fantastic. Roughly about 500 data sets registered. Um, Reminder, these are not just Databricks data sets, that's anything. And that data ownership is continually reviewed and audited. And that's where that fact base was really important for data quality. So data tools enable and support, but that data governance is all about the people. So I know I'm going a bit off brand here, not talking tech and code, but this is why it's so important. When you deploy those data products, how do you support your data stewards and data custodians with training and support, empowering them to make decisions and being informed of, giving access or not to certain data sets. Um, we also do, sharing openly a bit of coaching for them, and sometimes influencing when they don't feel confident, we work with them and understand the concerns and bring them on the journey as well. And this is where we come from data to product. So just sharing two AI use cases, Pam and Danny and Janita. Um, there's so much more we can go into here. I'm going to skip through pretty quickly, but with the promise, we're happy to deep dive into this or any of the other AI products we work on the next few months. So confession, I can't code anymore. I need to get back into that. Need some weekend homework. But where the Databricks team showed that tools like Databricks Genie, I could easily create a Genie room to actually search all of those data sets I mentioned before that were stored in our Power App. Because it's ingested into Databricks as a data set, with a few button presses, I was able to create that AI supported room where for this one I typed in find all tree data sets now across that register. And that was fantastic because it actually searched across all those records and I could have a conversation with it for the first time. So the point here was it's now moving from on-premise to cloud. It's super simple to deploy things we never thought possible, but also a product like this helps to save our council's time massively to find data sets they might not have been able to find before. I mentioned before how we search for data and how we make a decision, how we have outcomes. Roughly 8 hours per week spent searching for data. Now, what we've seen with Unity Catalog and this Power App, we're seeing a reduction of 90% for time savings of people finding data and finding clean data, knowing who to contact and the ownership across the organization. That's now down to less than an hour per week because I can search for it. There's now a data source that's there that's no longer calling up Jane on the phone and trying to track that down and having a nightmare experience within an organization. It's a system there that supports our employees, which is a massive business case for any council thinking about how they can get into this and bring their executives on the journey as well. We're happy to share any of these slides and business cases we put up as well for other councils too. The other one I'll touch on, for those who were at MAV conference last week, this was the knowledge bank we've deployed. So we actually use Social Pinpoint to collect community data based on location across the city on a range of topics. We ingest that into Databricks and create a comprehensive view of all engagements we've ever done. And that really helps to centralize the feedback and save our team's time to know, when do we ask about climate change? What areas gave feedback? For our council plan right now, we use this ability to actually put out questions to the community, and we could see neighbourhoods that were responding and neighbourhoods that weren't. And so we wanted to have that broad feedback. So we had that ingested into Databricks from Social Pinpoint, and we could see that and be proactively addressing where we wanted to engage certain areas of the community. And AI really helped to speed that up. So AI within Databricks, what are the themes coming out? What are the themes over time? To Danny's point, what are the themes by location? Where's certain topics really important? Because each neighbourhood has got their own needs across the city of Melbourne as well. And key here is it's all governed. So all of this data is locked down, protected. It's got ownership models, and that's embedded into our IR and also Databricks as well. So that's been a massive fact base to support our organisation and speed us up as well. We could do a deep dive on this one because there's so much more, and Eliza and team have done such a great job. And this one was the one that won the MAV Leadership and Data Driven Innovation. So congrats to the team if they're on the call today. We are on a journey. So we've touched on some of our AI data products, but we're getting so much support, and our executives are pushing us to think about what other areas, because our data and data governance is so well managed now. we can scale and we can work on this because the data's there, it's governed, and that really helps us to make sure it's trusted and it's protected as well. In closing, look, Databricks really helps to power our data governance program, but also gives insights and protection to our data sets as well. Mentioned we had 90% faster data discovery, but now it's linked back between data to ownership. And will now no longer approves ownership, approves access to data. The data owners do that. So it's faster and it's more visible for us across the organization. And people are becoming more confident. They know which area is managing it. And if there's a mistake like the tree, they know who to talk to. That saves us time as well. We do have a lot more in the background we're working through in terms of robust data lineage and what would be data cataloging. I might touch on that in a future session just because it gets into a lot of detail for that one. Lessons learned, so data governance helps really to power those products. So the AI rooms, the Genie rooms that were shown before, the work like AJ's been doing, if you have your data governance built into that, that's going to help you later on. And it supports your people. So it helps to speed them up. It helps to protect our data. And this is fundamental, how we scale, how do we continue this journey as well? We don't want to be bogged down in those questions in terms of who manages it? Can I rely on this? Because that drives us wild. A quick shout out to the Databricks support team. Danny, Pam, Janita, Alex, and team, and Matt. They've just been amazing for us. So they come across, they've trained up our users, they've run data and donut sessions. So a quick shout out to them. What you see today is just an example of they're really helpful and they've just been one of the best vendors or probably the best vendor we've ever worked with. So thank you so much, team, and thanks for the opportunity today.